and we're talking about the Fix-It team. So this is something that I came up with last couple months with the firm. We've been having some issues with mistakes. So I happen to practice law with my spouse, Amani Ragab Hacking the first, versus me, James Oliver Hacking the third. And we live our lives like two lawyers do. So we have a lot of debates, a lot of discussions, and you know, the best thing that ever happened to me and this firm was when Amani joined the firm, because she is a 9 fact finder and an 8 follow through. I am a 6 fact finder and a 2 follow through. I am a 10 quick start. She is a 1 quick start. So I like to jump into things and get moving on them, and she likes to fix things. So but she also has sort of a short fuse when it comes to mistakes. So our firm right now, just so everybody knows, we have 4 attorneys, and we have 5 paralegals, and we have 3 or 4 support people, and then a couple other, you know, I guess we have 5 support people. And so there are mistakes that happen when you have a firm this size. And I have probably always been a little too lax about mistakes. And I would say that Amani gets sort of worked up over mistakes. So I wanted to try to see if we could come up with a way that mistakes were, you know, dealt with appropriately, but that we also didn't scare people into not wanting to fix things. Okay, so hence the Fix-It team. So I'm going to walk you through. This is a presentation that I gave to the firm, and I'll probably comment on it for our guild members here, so they have an understanding of what it is that I'm talking about. Okay. For those of you who haven't taken Joey Vitale's course, you might notice that I picked up the black backdrop with the slides. So that's something that comes from Joey's good course. All right, so I really wanted to change the culture around failure. I wanted to make it so that when people made mistakes, that it was something that we dealt with, something that we talked about, something that we worked on, but that it wasn't something that was like shameful or bad or something really even to get angry about. Okay, so this was really going to take a sort of big shift in the firm, especially with leadership, as to how we were going to handle these things. And I've tried to do this in the past without much success, but I think we've gotten to a point now where everyone's sort of on the same page and we're all sort of rowing in the same direction. All right, so with us, you know, we are an immigration law firm. So one of the first things I wanted to start out with my discussion with the team was, well, what are the consequences or the possible consequences when a mistake is made? Okay. So obviously there's the lost expenses. So for us, like, we'll have applications that get kicked back to us from USCIS. So we'll have to resend it or recopy it, or, you know, we lose the fees of, we pay for our own shipping. So we don't pass that on to the client when we make a mistake, or even when we don't make a mistake. So obviously another consequence are angry clients, missed deadlines, delays. So their cases are going to get slowed down. Sometimes we have to refund legal fees when we make a mistake. We obviously can mess up people's lives if we make a mistake. It can lead to malpractice claims, and then of course the lost law license. So obviously these are all things that you're familiar with and that you probably worry about and share those same concerns as a law firm owner. All right, so there's no doubt that with immigration and with all of our practice areas that the stakes are high when it comes to making mistakes. So, you know, we are professionals and we're doing a good job for people and we're doing our best. And so the stakes are undoubtedly high. It's not like we can just make someone a new hamburger, right? So I really wanted to drill into people that we can't be sloppy, but we also can't let our fear keep us from reaching our highest potential. So that it's sort of a balancing act, right? So you want to make sure that you, that people are free to do their best, but you don't want them to be so rigid that they're afraid to make a mistake, that they're going to get yelled at. So I had some quotes about failure. I wanted to sort of normalize failure in the office. And so I came up with some quotes. I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That was Thomas Edison. One who fears failure limits her activities. Failure is the only opportunity to more intelligently begin again. That's Henry Ford. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. That's Bill Gates. And then I played a little video for them that went a little something
Well,
like
what can I
this.
do for you, Big Bird?
Well, let's see.
You
You
spilled
spilled it, Mr. Cooper. You spilled it.
I
You
sure
spilled the
have.
milk.
I don't know if you can
spilled it
hear
all
Oh,
this.
it's a shame to waste this milk.
Oh, well, no, it's just a little mistake. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yes.
I've a special secret children ought to know. It's about the little mistakes you make as you begin to grow. If you make a mistake, you shouldn't start to crawl. Mistakes are not so bad, and here is why. Oh, everyone makes mistakes, so yes, they do. Your sister and your brother.
Your dad, mother, too. Big people, small people, matter of fact, all people. Everyone makes mistakes, so why can't you? So that's a song that I remembered from my childhood, so I shared it with everybody. Again, trying to normalize it, trying to take some of the emotion out and to try to become much more clinical about it. That's really what we're talking about. I wanted to look at mistakes not as something to get angry about, but rather an opportunity to perfect our systems, right? And so how we currently handle mistakes at the firm was to discover the mistake, either before an immigration packet goes out or after. So obviously there's a big difference there. Is it when the, did we catch the mistake before it left the office, or was it after? And then we all yell, oh shit, and there's a lot of collective drama. And then we all jump in to fix the mistake. And then we engage in damage control with the client. And then we do everything possible to fix the mistake. And of course, you know, my friend Mike Downey, malpractice lawyer, he says that, you know, when you make a mistake of a big proportion, the first thing you got to do is try to make it right, to try to fix it for the client. So obviously everybody's very invested in that. There's a lot of energy about that, and we do everything we can to help the clients at that point. But then we get busy and we move on to the next case or to the next crisis. And sometimes we do fix the underlying problem, sometimes. Sometimes we have a meeting to try and make sure that it never happens again. And sometimes you have a class to teach how to prevent the mistake. Like, so Amani and Adela have been really good. They have class every Friday now that they record, and they're just adding it to our database of information and training for new people. So when we fix a mistake and we come up with a new way to fix the mistake, a new way to implement it, we do have to document it and teach it to the team. So we have been having classes, but we don't do it every time. So as I noted, and I told everybody, this is all great, and it's a substantial improvement over where we've been in the past, where we didn't have any long-term strategy at all, nor any group efforts to discuss ways to improve. And then I asked some what if questions. What if we had a system for capturing each and every error and turning it into an improvement to our systems? A system for improving systems. What if, when a mistake happened, we looked at it not as something to be upset about, but rather as a valuable invitation to make the firm better? What if we had a team dedicated to getting to the root cause of every problem that worked on the problem until it was solved once and for all? Not sometimes, every time. And that's the Fix-It team. We have created a Fix-It team, and we even have a slogan for them here in the office: we fix systems. So up until now, really the only weekly meetings that we would have would be case review, the leadership team. We'd have financial meetings every other week. And in the last couple of weeks, we've added the leads team has meetings and the Fix-It team has meetings. So the Fix-It team is now meeting once a week, but we'll get to that. All right, so the way that we came up with our process was Adela and I sat down and we mapped out how do we solve a problem and how do we get to the root cause of the problem. And in doing so, we came up with 10 steps to fix a problem once and for all, to come up with a solution that'll get to the root cause and fix it. And so I'm going to go through each of those steps with you as steps, and then I'm going to show you how we presented it to the team, and then I'm going to show you what the team has been doing since then, since we had this Fix-It team meeting. And of course, if your firm is smaller, you might be the whole Fix-It team, but the mindset and the approach to systematically fixing things you might find helpful. All right, so step one is the team member identifies the mistake that occurred. So in some way or fashion, whether it's through the mail or a phone call or an angry email or whatever, we find out that a mistake occurred. Step two, the team member creates a plan to fix the problem in the particular case at issue before taking it to their team. So one of the things that we like to talk about is ownership and problem solving and persevering. And so those are all core values or parts of our core values, so that we really want people not to just say, oh, woe is me, we made a mistake, what are we going to do, Mr. Attorney or Ms. Attorney? No, we want them to come up with possible solutions so that we can have an intelligent discussion. And step three, the individual team, so that lawyer, that paralegal, and that support staff, they meet to discuss the proposed solution and agree on the best course of action in the case at hand. So the first three steps are all about fixing the problem for the client or fixing the problem in that particular case. And so those are steps that we've always been doing, but we haven't done steps 4 through 7 after that. So we're taking it to the next level. So step 4, the team leader notifies the Fix-It team as to the mistake and the proposed solution. So what we did is we actually created a project inside FileVine with an email address. And so now when they're dealing with a problem, they can just CC that and it gets put into that email address and it feeds it right into FileVine for us. But you could just have a central repository, but I thought that having an email attached to it would make life easier. And that way things wouldn't fall through the cracks. All right, so the Fix-It team gathers the information about the mistake and determines whether or not firm procedures were followed. So that's step 5. Step 6, the Fix-It team analyzes the mistake and asks the 6 whys. So the 6 whys are, why did that happen? Well, why is that? Well, how come that's the way we do things? Well, why do we do it that way? So you keep asking why until you get to the actual solution or the reasons for the mistakes. Then the Fix-It team prepares a proposed change to firm policies and procedures for leadership to review. So the Fix-It team meets every Wednesday and they prioritize what they want to work on. And they sort of using the IDS system from Traction, which is what's the issue, let's have a discussion and a solution. They propose a solution to the leadership team, and then the leadership team adopts it or modifies it. So then step 8, leadership reviews, modifies, and or approves a proposed change to firm policies and procedures. Step 9, the Fix-It team modifies FileVine to reflect new changes, updates the firm procedures manual, and records a video inside FileVine to teach the new procedure to the firm. And then the firm is trained on the new policies and procedures by the Fix-It team until the new approach is fully adopted and implemented. So at our regular weekly meeting on Mondays of the whole team, we'll go over it probably 4 or 5 times until it's sort of part of the process and that the new solution is adopted. So we're going to do a case study here now, the mysterious case of the unsent medical exam results. So at our firm, when a person applies for a green card, they have to get a medical exam. And the rules are sort of unclear with USCIS as to whether you have to submit the medical at the beginning or if you can bring it to the interview. Usually that's about a 10-month interval where the client doesn't necessarily have to do it right then when you file. It saves them a little bit of money, and it also lets you get the case out the door sooner. So we did a Fix-It analysis of the missing medical exam results. So the team member identified the mistake that occurred. Well, the mistake that occurred was that our office received the medical from the client, but we did not send it to USCIS with the packet. Now that can be a problem because once you do the medical, it's only good for 60 days unless they receive it on time. So that was a problem, and that was a problem that could have slowed the client's case down, could ultimately have gotten it denied. It wouldn't get denied for that, but it's possible. Step 2, the team member creates a plan to fix the problem in the particular case at issue before taking it to their team. The paralegal discusses with the team attorney and then calls the client to discuss how best to proceed. So they have a possible solution. They take it to their team for discussion. The client and the paralegal reach out to the civil surgeon, who agreed to reissue the medical for $150 when the interview comes. So that'd be a situation where it actually cost me money, $150 plus the labor and tracking this thing down, and the problem would be fixed in this particular case. So typically that would be the end of the discussion. Oh, we fixed it. But in this situation, this was our very first Fix-It team project. And so what happened was the team leader notified the Fix-It team of the error and of how they were going to fix it in that particular case. Fix-It team took it under review. They looked to see whether procedures were not followed. Well, procedures were followed, so there didn't have to be any counseling. But the problem is that in the discussions, we figured out that there were multiple reasons why this was happening. One was that the leadership team was not all on the same page as to when the medical should be sent. And so you can see how granular we're getting, and this might seem like overkill, but if we don't get to these root causes, we're not going to solve the problems, and they're just going to pop back up. So that's why we're willing to spend this time, especially during the coronavirus when things are slow, to really dig in deep and try to fix these things at their core. So step 5, if not followed, the error is added to the Fix-It team agenda for IDS analysis. Identify the issue, discuss it, and solve it. Why was the medical not in the file? Well, the client dropped it off late. The team thought the medical was going to be submitted later, not with the initial packet. So there was confusion there among the team. And so here's where we're asking the whys. Do we have a policy of what to do when the client drops off the medical late? No, we don't, not at the moment. So that's one thing we have to fix. We have to have a policy. Why don't we have a drop-off late policy? Well, because some clients get the medical done before we submit, some do it before the interview. Aha, now we're getting somewhere. Why don't we tell the clients when to do their medical? Because the attorneys are in disagreement over whether to do it before or after, and it sometimes depends. So here, the attorneys are in disagreement over whether to do it before or after, and that way there's confusion, the team doesn't know what to do, the paralegal doesn't do it consistently. Sometimes problems have more than one root cause. The way to tell if we've reached the root cause is to see, had we changed this one thing, would the problem either not have occurred at all, or would it have been substantially less likely to have occurred? That's how you know you're getting close to the root cause. You have to be listening, you have to be thinking, you have to bounce it off other people so that it's not just you in an echo chamber. All right, so the Fix-It team came up with 3 options. One option would be to submit the medical with in every initial packet. And we looked at the pluses and the minuses. And the plus, it's done early, it's timely, we don't have to worry about it anymore, and the client's done with it. On the minus, the clients don't have vaccination records, they have to spend a lot of money at the beginning, and it can slow the packet going out. So that's option A. Option B, submit the medical at the interview. It won't expire, you can file faster, you won't have to update it. If requirements at USCIS change, you can be paid for later. The negative, the clients could forget to do it or forget to bring it to the interview. USCIS wants us to do it ahead of time because they say it speeds up the interview. The last option would be to keep doing what we've been doing, continue to allow the client to dictate. That would give the team flexibility, but it causes confusion and inconsistent results. It allows for mistakes to occur, and the cases get held up due to missing medical. So none of those things are good. Excuse me. Step 7. The Fix-It team prepares a proposed change to firm policies and procedures for leadership to review. The Fix-It team met on Wednesday, recommends that all medical exams be conducted after the initial notice for the interview is received. So we're not going to do it at the beginning. We've decided that in order to cut down on confusion and to have a consistent result, that we're always going to submit the medical at the interview. Step 8, leadership reviews, modifies, and approves the proposed changes to the firm policies and procedures. The leadership team agrees that all medical will be completed only after the interview notice is received. So we agreed on that, and that step is completed. The Fix-It team modifies FileVine to reflect new changes, updates firm procedures manual, and records a video inside FileVine to teach the new procedure to the firm. All right, so lots of interesting issues from our discussions. We came up with multiple different solutions and different things that were going to make that whole process go better, including building it out inside FileVine itself. And then it gave us a lot of good questions to ask in Fileline. Do we have the sealed medical? When will we receive the sealed medical? Did the client give us a copy of the medical? What's the date of the medical? When does it expire? Did the doctor use the right version? Did the doctor sign it? Are there any problems with it? So these are all good questions for the paralegals to check off in Fileline, and then we can automate tasks that happen after that. And it also gave us an interview, post-interview workflow after we get the notice. So after we get the interview notice, these are the things that happen. There's an automated Fileline with the civil surgeon info sent to the client. The paralegal calls the client. There's a 14-day reminder. The client sends us a copy of the medical. We review it, and the client brings the medical to the interview. So this necessitated some new protocols. What do we do when the client doesn't get the medical in time for the interview? What do we do when the client's medical expires for whatever reason? So we had to come up with solutions for those things. So again, I went back. What if we had a team dedicated to getting to the root cause of every problem that worked on the problem until it was solved once and for all? Not sometimes, every time. So back to that. So just reinforcing that we want to fix these things every time. So that's the Fix-It team. And so if that were the end of the story, I would still be happy because we now have a Fix-It team that's dedicated to this. But when we had our first Fix-It team meeting after presenting this to the whole firm, I met with them and I said, look, as you all know, I am a one follow-through. So if I am left in charge of the Fix-It team, nothing's going to get fixed and this whole thing will dry up in a month or so. And so we had a meeting of the Fix-It team, and I was listening and I was paying attention very closely to what everyone was saying. And there was one person on the Fix-It team who would be really well suited to run the team, but I heard her say something that triggered me. And what she said was, Jim, I'd really like to work on these Fix-It things, but I have 20 or 15 or 20 packets that I need to get out the door. And then my ear went like this. And I said, oh, she's too busy. I said, but she'd be really good at this and we need to promote her. So I had some discussions with Amani and Adela, and we ended up promoting Melissa. So she's going to be assisting Adela. She's going to be in charge of the Fix-It team. They're meeting every Wednesday. They have an agenda. They have a whole approach to this where I'm just going to be there to sort of bounce ideas off of. I don't even have to go to the meetings anymore because they're running themselves. I will pop in from time to time just to give my guidance on issues that come up, but they're really running with it, both on a running it aspect and also on an aspect of building it all out in Fileline. So they have built a protocol within Fileline that I'm going to show you as to how we handle these things now, and it's right there on everybody's screen. So let me show you real quickly. So we built a tab over here on the left called Fix It, and then what we do is we have, this is a fake case that I made just so I could show you, and it walks through what needs to happen when there's a mistake. So whenever an issue arises while working on your case, you notify your team, and then you fill out this form with as much detail as possible. So Melissa and Laura, a couple of people in the firm, built this out. And what you do is you put in all this information, and then it feeds it to the Fix-It team. Who identified the issue? Who's the lead attorney? When was the issue identified? It tells you what stage. So that's nice to know. This will be good for reporting. Did you notify your team? Yes, I notified my team. Who was notified? We'll describe what happened. Why did it happen? Is there a firm policy regarding this issue? Was the firm policy followed? Yes or no? So that's cool. So this is Fileline. What steps did you take to correct the issue? Will the client's case be affected by this issue? How do you think we can prevent this from happening in the future? And then you hit send it to the Fix-It team. That'll save all the changes, and it'll email it to the Fix-It team so that they then know that they have something to work on. So that's pretty exciting. And I was really thrilled with that. So now they've come back and they've trained the team on how to use the Fix-It team when something goes wrong. So now we have a whole protocol. So from this little mistake and it was a mistake that led to this whole discussion, we now have a step-by-step procedure to fix the problem, and we have a way to discuss the problem. We've lowered the temperature in the room when a mistake is made. We've given people an outlet on how to fix a problem when a problem occurs, and we now have a system for gathering that information. Then what happens is the Fix-It team will meet on Wednesdays. They'll see what all the issues are, and then they'll rank them over what they think they should work on next, and they work on the next issue until there is a solution. Then they come back, they present their solution to leadership, and then they leadership approves it or modifies it, and then after that, it's all over to fix the systems inside FileLine and whatever other systems we need to fix. And then after that, the team closes it out, and they're on to the next one. So they're keeping track, and they're going to report back to the overall team as to the things that they fix. So I hope you found this all helpful. I hope that if you are wanting to implement something like this, feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to walk you through it again. I can send you the slides. We'll put this video up in the Kajabi so that everyone has access to it. But if you have any questions, I can send you the slides or the steps. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, thanks everybody. Take care. How do I get out of this? Go to Zoom.